All right, so we're still talking about surface area today, but instead of talking about prisms and cylinders, today we got to hit pyramids and cones. So this is just some vocab, some terminology that we need to know. So just have this filled in. This is the important part, the slant height. The slant height is not the height straight up and down of the pyramid. It's the height of this slanted face right here. On your formula chart, it's designated with the lowercase cursive L. That is basically the most important piece in this diagram, is understanding that this lowercase L on your formula chart means the slant height. And this is the slant height, not the part straight up and down. Right, so make sure you got that filled in. Let's come down. So the lateral area of a regular pyramid with perimeter P and slant height L is, so lateral area is 1/2 the perimeter of the base times the slant height. And again, there is the slant height. It's not the one going straight up and down. So that's how you would get the lateral piece if you wanted the total area. Of course, the total surface area equals the lateral area plus big B, and again, that big B is the area of the base. So unlike prisms, I only have one base now. So I don't have to multiply that base by 2 because I only have one base. Or, of course, it's 1/2 perimeter of the base times the slant height plus the area of the base. So what does an example problem look like? It looks something like this. So they give us the picture. They ask us for the base area. This base is a hexagon. Area of the thing is 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. Apothem, they already told us, is square root 3. And the perimeter, each one of these sides is 2. There's 6 sides, so 2 times 6 is 12. 12 divided by this 2 gives me 6, and my root 3 is still sitting there because that was my apothem. If I multiply it out, it's approximately 10.4. The lateral area is just 36, and again, how do we get that? We just take 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times the slant height. And they've told us what our slant height is. It's right here, it's 6. That's what it's pointing at. So if I take the perimeter of the base, multiply it by the slant height, and divide it by 2, it gives me 36. And then, of course, the total is if I just add these two up. 36 plus 6 root 3 is approximately 46.4. Alright, similar setup to for a cone. Those are pyramids. Now we've got to hit cones. Okay, make sure you've got this here. And again, most important part here is, again, the slant height. Is understanding that this is the slant height, not the piece going straight up and down. Vertices, lateral surfaces, my axis, my bases. This is a right cone because it makes a right angle. That's an oblique cone because it's slanted. So make sure you've got that written down. I do apologize for this next piece. The diagrams are kind of faded and hard to see. Understand that the lateral area of a right cone with radius r and slant height L is just, so lateral area is equal to pi times the radius times the slant height. And again, you do not have to memorize these. These are on your formula charts. You just have to know how to use them and what the pieces mean. So then the total surface area is, again, you take that lateral area and you just add up the area of the base. Or in this case, that lateral area is just pi r L, and the area of the base is just pi r squared since it is a circle. So we do have a problem here. Work it out together. Just make sure you understand what I'm doing. Area of the base. The base is just a circle. Area of a circle is pi r squared, so 3 squared is 9, equals 9 pi. The lateral area is just pi r L. My r is 3, my L is 9. 9 times 3 is 27, so it's 27 times pi. And it gives my total is, if I add these two up, 9 plus 27 gives me 36 pi. If I had to multiply it out, it's approximately 113.1 centimeters squared. The back just has a whole bunch of practice. All right, so there's the first one. Base area tells me I have a square pyramid. So my base is a square. So my side squared would be the area of the base. If it's 5 and 5, 5 times 5 gives me 25. The area of the base is 25 feet squared. My lateral area, again, I've got it written down here. It's 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Perimeter of the base is 20. That's 5, 5, and 5 times the slant height, which is 9, divided by 2 gives me 90 feet squared. So of course the total is lateral plus the base 25 plus 90 gives me a total area of 115 feet squared. Right, base area. This one I have a pentagonal pyramid. So the area of the base is 1/2 times the apothem times the perimeter. That's the base area. If I do all that, again, it tells me what my apothem is. If my side length is 9 and I have 5 sides, then my perimeter is 45. So 45 times 6.2 divided by 2 will give me 139.5 meters squared. My lateral area, again, I have it written here, formula. 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Well, I already know the perimeter of the base is 9 times 5 is 45. They've already given me my slant height. Multiply those two numbers, divide by 2, you'll get 405. So therefore, the total, just add these two up, and you get 544.5 meters squared. All right, this one gives me the base area. They're asking for the area of the base. But what is the shape of the base? It's a triangle. And here they tell me it's a regular triangle here. So if it's regular, it means all my sides and angles are the same, but it means I have an equilateral, equal angular triangle. So that base is an equilateral, equal angular triangle. I've redrawn it here, so this is just the base drawn. All sides are 8. So what is my height? If I draw it in, it creates a 30, 60, 90 triangle, which means my height is 4 times the square root of 3. So we should be that quick by now. So the height is 4 root 3, my base is 8, so 4 root 3 times 8, 4 times 8 is 32, and then divide that by 2, 16. So my base is just 16 root 3. My lateral area is again 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Perimeter of the base is 8, 8 and 8 is 24, 24 times 5, divide that by 2, you'll get 60 for your lateral area. And so of course my total, I just add them all up. 60 plus 16 root 3, which is approximately 87.7 inches squared. So those were different types of pyramids. We got a little section on cones now, but very, very similar. So again, area of the base. When cones, my base is going to be a circle. If the radius is 4, pi r squared, 16 pi is my base area. Lateral area is just pi rl. And it gives me the r and it gives me the l. 4 times 5 is 20, so it's 20 pi for the lateral area. So of course the total thing, 16 pi plus 20 pi is 36 pi feet squared. Alright, this one. Again, I would try, before you start looking at my answers, try them on your own, see what you get. And then check your answers with what I'm getting. So again, base area. The radius is 2, 2 squared is 4, my base area is 4 pi. Lateral area is again pi rl. So 2 times 4.5 gives me 9, and I've got my pi, 9 pi. Add these two up, 13 pi. Try this next one. Pause it right now. Try the next one. See if you can figure it out on your own before you watch what I'm going to do. All right. I'm going to go on. I'm assuming you paused it and now you already have your answers. All right. So what are we missing here? And again, they give you the hint. We don't have the slant height. We have the radius. We have this axis right here. We do not have the slant height. But notice it does make a right triangle. So by use of the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can figure out that my slant height is 26. So then my base area, 10 squared is 100 pi. My lateral area, it's pi times the radius times the slant height. 10 times 26 is 260, and I've got 260 pi. And then we just add those two up, and we get 360 pi. All right, these last two, again, these are called my composite figures. So I have a pyramid sitting on top of a prism, and they want the total surface area of this whole shape. So there's several different ways to do these. The way I'm going to show you how to do this one is to find the area of first the pyramid, the whole thing, then find the area of the whole prism, add those two up, and then subtract your two hidden faces, your faces that are being shared. So if I just look at the pyramid and I do the area of the base, this piece is 4, this piece is 4, area of a square, 4 times 4 gives me 16. So just the area of the base is 16 meters squared. Now I have to do the lateral area, which means I do 1/2 times the perimeter of the base times the slant height. Perimeter of the base is 16, Slant height is 4. 16 times 4 is 64. 64 divided by 2 is 32. So 16 plus 32 gives me 48 meters squared. That is for the whole pyramid. If I wanted the total surface area of the pyramid, it's 48 meters squared. So now let me do the prism. So I start off with the, what did I get, the lateral area first? So if I want the lateral area, I find the perimeter of the base, which is 16, and I multiply it by the height of the prism. The height of the prism is 2. 16 times 2 gives me 32 meters squared. So that is the lateral area. The area of the base is 4 times 4, 16. Again, I have two bases, top and bottom. 16 times 2 gives me 32 meters squared. If I add those two up, it's 64 meters squared. So if I add them both up, I get 112 meters squared. So that is my total surface area. But now think of the two faces that are being shared. The bottom of the pyramid is being covered up, and the top of the prism is being covered up. So I have two faces being covered up. So now I have to subtract the hidden faces. So my total is 112, but I have to subtract 32. Where's 32 coming from? What is the area of the face being shared? 4 times 4, the area of that square is 16, but it's being covered on the bottom of the pyramid, and it's also being covered on the top of the prism. So that 16 is being subtracted twice, so I have to subtract 32. So 112 minus 32 gives me 80 meters squared for the area of this composite figure. We'll do more of these in class. Just have an idea of how these work. So sort of the same thing here. Now I have a cone sitting on top of a prism. So let's find the area of the entire cone first, which we'll do. So the area of the base, radius is 2, 2 squared is 4, so the area of just the circle is 4 pi. Then I got to do the lateral area, which is pi RL. R is 2, L is 4, gives me 8 pi for the lateral area. Add that up and you get 12 pi meters squared for the cone. That's the entire cone. Okay, so now let's just do the prism. And notice it's the same prism I had on the other example. So my lateral area is still going to be 32 meters squared. My two bases, if I add them up, 32 meters squared. So my total area for the prism is 64. And if I add those two up, 64 plus 12 pi gives me approximately 101.7. So now, that was the total. But what two faces are being shared? Notice the bottom of that cone is being covered up, and that circular region on the top of the prism is also being covered up. So I have to subtract those. So now we're going to subtract the hidden faces. So what is the area of that face that they share? It's that circle. What's the area of the circle? That area is 4 pi. The radius is 2, 2 squared is 4 pi. But I have to subtract that twice, because it's being covered up on the bottom of the cone, and it's also being covered up on the top of the prism. So 4 pi times 2 gives me 8 pi. So I have to subtract 101.7 minus 8 pi, which is approximately 25.1. So 101.7 minus 25.1 is approximately 76.6. That's all.